a little bit of a review for the test tomorrow just because there's a lot of stuff, and some of the stuff we haven't seen in a while. Yesterday we did estimating college costs. Really, basically, guys, you just take the things that are going to cost money, tuition and fees, room and board, all those other things we talked about. You subtract out, just like it said in the video, the things that you might get for you, like things that your mom or dad have saved, money that your mom or dad have saved up, scholarships, grants, anything like that, and somehow or another you'll get a general net cost of your college. We talked about different forms of payment, debit cards, credit cards, money orders, checks. We talked about all those, and all those I think you got a pretty good grasp on. But this is some of the stuff you haven't seen in a while. So I want to remind you about simple interest. Simple interest is the simple one. We talked about all these letters. I stands for interest. Principal is the amount that you deposit or you borrow. The rate of interest is the R, and it is always as a decimal. The time in years. Remember, the time always has to be in years. Another thing I want to point out is when you do your calculations in simple interest, the answer that you get is interest only. If you want to find the total amount, you take the interest, you add it to the principal to get the total amount in an account, okay? So when you are trying to solve a simple interest problem, remember the first thing you do, write your formula, plug in your values, and solve for the interest. And again, if you're looking for the total amount, you would take the interest and add it back into the principal. The second thing we learned was compound interest. And one of the things we learned is if you understand compound interest, you can let it work for you as free money. If you don't understand it, you're going to be one of the ones that pays it like I did back when I just got out of college. This formula is the account balance is equal to the principal times 1 plus the rate to the power of the time. And the difference between this formula and simple interest is the answer that you get is the account balance. That's what A stands for. If you are looking just for the interest, you have to go back and subtract out the principal from the interest, or you subtract out the principal from the total amount to give you the interest. All right. Another thing we learned about is deposits over time, and we spent a whole class period filling out charts. This one is a simple interest chart, and let me just give you this advice. You're going to get a test tomorrow, and your test is going to have all these questions on it, and some you're going to need a chart for, and some you're not going to need a chart for. The ones you need a chart for are not going to have a chart attached to the question. Your chart is going to look just like the sheet you have in front of you, and it's going to be stapled to the back of the test, and you're going to figure out which questions need to have a chart. And you're going to figure that out by looking for this phrase, each birthday, each month, each year. Anything that says you're depositing something over a period of time means that you need to create a chart. Now, these charts all have the same amount of columns. Simple interest, compound interest, or whatever. So if you're going through this account or through this question and you realize you want to add a column to put some information, then you add a column to it. And I'm going to talk about that more in a minute. So this is one for simple interest. That's one of the things you want to figure out. This is a simple interest account. So when you walk in, you start with 0. This is the amount you're depositing. This is the balance. Your interest rate is 5%. You figure 5% of this number, which is 100, and it becomes $5. And remember, the simple interest charts were super easy to figure out because the interest is not added back to the principal when you're determining what your interest is. So you come back and you bring this back around. That's your new balance for the next year, the next birthday, the next month, whatever it is it's talking about. There's the amount you're depositing. There's your new balance. And then your 5% multiplied by that new balance gives you the interest rate. Notice, again, remember the interest rate is separate, 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 separate. So this account earned a total of $75 in 5 years. We were also depositing principal, and we deposited a total of $500 in principal. So how much money is in this account right now? $575 is in this account right now. The principal plus the interest, $575. As opposed to a compound interest account. The difference is when you figure the interest, you are adding it back into the principal, and it becomes interest on top of interest on top of interest, and that's how you make so much more money. And so for this one, like because your charts that you're going to get on your test, they all have the same rows, I would add an extra column here so that I could add the interest back to the principal and get a total amount right here. So again, just to refresh your memory, you start with nothing, we're adding 100, so now my balance is 100, the interest rate's 5%, 5% of 100 is $5. Now the balance that I'm going to get interest on is 105. So that $105 comes back around right here. Then you're adding your 100. Now you're up to 205. You find 5% of the 205, put that amount here and add it back in for this amount, and yes, that's right, that amount comes right around there, and then you just repeat the process for ever how many years it tells you to. The answer you get is the total amount in the account. If the question is asking for what the interest was, you take the total amount in the account and you subtract what you deposited. How much did I deposit? 500. So 580 minus 500 gives you the interest of $80.19. All right? So interest over time, compound interest, simple interest. And then the other thing we learned was how to figure out the cost of a loan. And we did that with an online banking calculator. And we plugged in our principal, we plugged in the term, so we either put 2 years there or we put 24 months. We plugged in the interest rate, we hit calculate, y'all remember doing that? Boom, up popped a monthly payment. To figure out how much we repaid, we take the monthly payment and we multiplied it by, yes, the number of payments that you have to make. And so I multiply this by 24, and that gives me that. That's how much money I repaid. To figure out how much the loan cost me, I take this money and I subtract out the principal. That's how much I initially borrowed, and this loan, this first loan, is going to cost me $452. And then we just kind of compared that, comparing it to the interest rates and how long it took us to pay us back. Now, on your test tomorrow, you're not going to have to get online and find a monthly payment, but you are going to have to figure out how much loans cost. This is the process to do that. Okay, so remember doing this homework? You typed in on the online calculator, you typed in 5,000 as a principal, 2 years, 7%, and this popped up. How do I get from $223 to my total repayment of $53.72.64? How would I get from this number to that number? By how many? What would I multiply this? 24, yes, because that's 2 years. Now, the interest that I paid was $372. So how did I get from this number to figure out what my interest payment was? Yes, subtract 5,000. Okay, I am so comfortable that y'all know that. I'm feeling pretty good about this class. All right, so I kind of did a little showing off, honestly, if you really want to know the truth. But just kind of to summarize, when you're going through your questions tonight on the test review and tomorrow, it is, it's my big thing. I had it to where it would just like move out of the way. All right, whatever. Okay, first thing you're going to go, read the question, read the whole problem, and then go back and go, all right, what is this question asking? What am I looking for? That's the big thing. Do I need a chart? What words are you going to be looking for to decide whether or not you need a chart? Each year or each month or each birthday or each something. Is it simple interest? Is it compound interest? If it is simple interest, your formula is I is equal to P times R times T. If it's compound, boom, just like that. Okay, next question. Is it asking about the interest? If it's asking about the interest and you're using the simple interest formula, you have your answer. If it's asking about the interest and you're using your compound interest formula, you're going to have to go back and subtract out the principal. And then last but not least, is it asking about the total amount? If it's asking about the total amount and I'm using this simple interest formula, I've got to do principal plus interest to give me the total amount. If it's asking for the total amount and I use this formula, I have the total amount. Questions? No questions? Okay. I want you working on the review today. Oh, wait. Let me just go over a few of the questions. I forgot I had this up here, too. All right. So let's take question number 2. This was one that was on your quiz, I believe. A new house costs $335,000. Leonard wants to buy the house. He needs this amount. He needs an amount. He has $16,000. So the question is, how long must she keep the money in the savings account in order to have enough for the down payment? This is what she needs. This is what she has. Where's the extra money going to come from? The interest. So that's what you're looking for. That's going to be the interest in this problem. This pretty cut and dry. A bank loans a customer $12,000 for a period of 11 years. The simple interest rate of the loan is 13.3. What's the total amount? Do you need to use a chart for this one? No, Luke, sit up, please. Sit up. Number 4. Do you need to use a chart for number 4? What words are you looking for? Okay. What about number 5? Write a compound interest function to model the following situation, then find the balance after the given number of years. Do you need a chart for that? Like where this is going. Number 6, Molly deposited $1,200 in an account that earns 4% simple interest. Izzy does $1,200 at 4% compound. They leave the money in the account for 3 years. Do you need a chart? No, because it doesn't say each year. You're just comparing. Number 7, Carson puts $4,800 each year into a savings account that pays blah, 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 blah. Do you need a chart? Yes. Boom. Yes, we're going to put chart right here. Number 8, Mr. Son borrowed $15,600 for 54 months, simple interest rate, pay for a new pool. You need a chart? No. Number 9, I can already tell. Do you need a chart for number 9? No, I promise you don't. All right. Number 10, what statement is true? You don't need a chart. Making purchases with a credit card, it's not even asking. Number 14, Stanley opens a savings account with $6,500 that earns 3.35 simple interest annually. You need a chart for that? No, because there's no each year. How many do you need a chart for so far? I don't know if we've looked at all of them. But it seems like it. Okay.